Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2026 Future of Academic Affairs Forum. Believe it or not, this is our fifth Future of Academic Affairs Forum. So excited to have you all here today. Glad you could join us. Today, we will hear presentations on several topics that illustrate the investments we have made in support of our educational mission here at UC San Diego, and how those investments will continue to yield positive results in the years ahead. Following each of today's presentations, there'll be a time for questions and feedback. And we do want to hear your ideas on how we can continue to do this work well. So please provide us with your input and questions at the end of each presentation. Today's session will be recorded, so those who are not able to join us today will be able to view it online later. And to start things off, I'd like to welcome our Executive Vice Chancellor, Elizabeth Simmons, for some opening remarks.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to talk about the future of academic affairs. I've put on the slide just a description of what the future of academic affairs is, for us to be collaborative, to be creative through our collaborations, whether we are coping with new technologies and making them help us instead of creating barriers, reimagining how we do everything, how we use space, how we design space, and shift our resources around to have the kind of impact that we want on our students and on our research. And then there's a lot of creativity and interdisciplinary work, whether it's research collaborations or new degree programs, and ways, of course, in this budget environment, we're all very interested in finding ways to bring new revenue in that we can count on to support all of this great work. But above all, the future of academic affairs is all of your ideas, your enthusiasm, your visions and dreams. And that's why we're really glad to have you here today to give your input, share your ideas, so those can be folded into all of this ongoing work and augmented. Collective impact we've found to be a really powerful approach to collaboration because it helps people in a very smooth way not only bring their ideas forward, but to do it in a way that gets people to identify common goals, use common data sets, use common metrics. So everybody is speaking the same language and measuring progress the same way. And then people have been finding they can define projects that people from all over campus would love to take on, but could never have done alone. But through coming together in this structured collaboration, they're able to do, the formal term is mutually reinforcing activities, but really big, bold projects that couldn't have been done alone. The next slide gives a few details about some of the things we've done, all of us together under collective impact. Remembering back to the pandemic, how long ago that seems now, but during the pandemic, we came together in a collective impact way. We set up our goals of safety and health and continuing educational continuity, having research continuity, and by working together and sharing data and having shared goals and identifying how we were going to support the work, we did amazing things. And since the pandemic, we've had working groups spring up to do work on different aspects of the work in academic affairs that support our students, that support our faculty, that support learning. And a few of them are listed here, some of the very tangible things that have been accomplished by working together. And what we're going to do today is hear from some of the groups who are trying to take some of this work to the next level, and they'll talk about what they're hoping to do, and then get your feedback on your ideas on what they're hoping to do. And also, maybe you'll have some other great ideas about what we could be doing together. And my last slide is the next one, where looking ahead to the future, then the four topics that broad topics that we're talking about today are helping students be ready to learn from day one of every quarter, whether it's making sure they have food or a computer to use or course materials that are right there for them at the start. Helping faculty have whatever support and preparation the faculty need to succeed, to be successful in their careers from the start and through the career. Academic integrity and reliable testing very much on everybody's minds, because you need that in order to know that whether the students have actually learned what you've been trying to teach them. And then when students struggle, how do we get them back on track so that all of our students can graduate? So we'll be having lightning talks and then asking for your ideas and input on these four broad topic areas. And we really hope you'll have some ideas about additional goals we can set ourselves. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn this back over to Allison so that we can move on to the heart of the discussions today. Allison?
Thank you so much, EVC Simmons. I've realized that I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Allison Sanders. I serve as the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Chief of Staff, supporting the EVC office. So again, welcome everybody. And we're going to move on to our first presentation. Today is Affordable Learning and Financial Support Working Group. That's who we're going to hear from. This is one of our 5 collective impact working groups that EVC Simmons mentioned earlier in her talk. They're presenting their work around addressing the need for more affordable learning materials for students. Our university librarian, Eric Mitchell, is one of the group's co-chairs, and he's with us today to share more on the initiatives around this topic. Thank you for joining us today, Eric, and I'll hand it over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Allison. It's really a pleasure to be with all of you today. And I'm really happy to have a few minutes to give you all an update on the work of the Affordable Learning and Financial Support Collective Impact Group, with a special focus on the work the bookstore has been leading to promote equitable access to course materials. And I want to say that although I'm the one giving you this update, I'm glad to share that our bookstore manager, Roger Hailstork, is also with us here today, and he'll join us to answer any questions you have. So on the current slide, you can see that our working group launched in January 2022. And over the last 4 years, we've developed a multi-threaded approach focused on affordability issues that's included everything from textbook access to financial wellness. And as you can see, we have an incredible team of experts across campus. And I actually just want to give a shout out to all of them and a big thanks for the work they've contributed. So if we move on to the next slide. To advance our goals, we use a Tiger Team approach that forms small groups that focus on specific projects. Our current focus areas include food affordability, financial wellness, student technology access, and textbook access. And today we're excited to share with you more about that work on textbook affordability. Before I do that, however, let me give you an update on a project that I hope you've already heard about, our effort to grow participation in CalFresh. So if we move to the next slide. A year or so ago, research completed by our team members showed that we could make a real difference in food affordability by getting more students enrolled in CalFresh. CalFresh is a statewide program that provides assistance for those with need, but the process for applying can be complicated and students don't always know if they're eligible. And so we thought that a coordinated communication and enrollment support method could make a big difference. Over the course of the last academic year, the team developed and launched a communications campaign that sought to build awareness and support students in enrollment. Through the work of that group, we saw an 18% increase in student applications, with at least 1,590 more UC San Diego students receiving CalFresh benefits. The financial impact of that work was over $1 million, all of which was direct support to our students. I know I'm personally amazed by this, and again, just want to extend kudos to the entire team who worked on this. And I see I actually dropped the 5 on that one. So it's $5.1 million, not just $1 million. Why don't we move on to the next slide? So in addition to our CalFresh Tiger team, we've also had a group focused on textbook access and affordability. And I'd like to use the rest of my time with you today to give you an update on this work. All right, so it might go without saying, but I think we'd all agree that it's best for students to have access to course materials on the first day of class. However, in the student experience with course materials survey, we found that over 50% of students reported that this was not the case, most often due to the cost of those materials. The UC San Diego cost of attendance shows that students and families can expect around that academic materials will cost around $1,300 annually. And of course, this is an average. Some students will pay less and some will pay more. In the course materials survey, students also reported that not having access to course materials impacted their sense of belonging and their success. And we found that this impact wasn't equally distributed across campus, but rather we saw higher impacts in first generation, Pell eligible, and other student groups. And as our team explored these findings, we saw a big opportunity to have a positive impact on student success while also making the course materials more affordable for everybody. So if we move to the next slide. So as we looked more deeply at how we might have an impact, we found so many examples of current success. We learned about faculty who have adopted open educational resources or who have developed and shared their own course materials. We analyzed overlaps between library holdings and course materials and developed a collaborative process that ensures that whenever possible, library materials are used so that students don't have to purchase them. And we learned about the many creative ways that students use to get copies of their textbooks as inexpensively as possible. There was one strategy, however, that emerged that brings all these other approaches together and works systematically to lower the cost of course materials for everybody. Many campuses across the University of California and the country run programs like this that automatically provide all of the course materials students need for a low price every quarter. Our bookstore manager, Roger, has implemented these programs elsewhere, and we're so fortunate to have his leadership here. And at UC San Diego, we're branding this new course materials program Triton One. Launching in the fall of 2026, through this program, students will get access to course materials on the very first day of class automatically with integration into the Canvas courseware platform. This model is already running at premier institutions like UC Davis, UCLA, and Cornell with incredible success. So let's move to the next slide. Under our current model, students face on average course material costs of around $455 per quarter. These costs can vary from quarter to quarter, and students hold responsibility for getting access to their materials before classes begin. Under the Triton One program, the per quarter cost will be $199 regardless of what classes students take. Access will be provided automatically on or before classes start, and charges are incorporated into the standard billing process. This program cuts course material costs more than in half. Just imagine the savings that creates for our 35,000 undergraduate students. So on to the next slide. So what does this look like in practice? We think that both the student and the faculty experience is streamlined and improved. So students sign up for classes just as they normally would. They'll be automatically signed up for the textbooks associated with those courses as well. The flat $199 fee will be applied to the student's account each quarter, and they'll have the option of opting out of the program at any point in the first few weeks if they decide they'd rather acquire their books independently. If they do wish to opt out, they can either opt out entirely or they can choose specific books they'd like to buy within the program. And they'll have access to their course materials under the bookshelf in Canvas, including materials held by the library. This is a digital-first experience, but faculty can always choose a book or a print book to be substituted at the same cost if it's needed for the course. So let's move on to the next slide. On the faculty side, there are very few changes. Faculty continue to have full control over the text they select for their courses. We just ask that you submit your adopted course materials to the bookstore to ensure that all of the materials students need are included in this program. Our project partner, VitalSource, will handle the acquisition process for every publisher. And you can see from this slide, they have these contacts already. And so it's the same sort of experience we already have. Let's just move on to the next slide. Over the past several months, Roger and other members of our team have been sharing this information with campus partners and leaders. We're so grateful for the support and feedback we've received, and we're continuing our outreach and planning efforts. In fact, tomorrow we'll be meeting with deans, department chairs, and provosts to give them this update as well. We're also working closely with enrollment management to make sure that our incoming students are aware of the program. And if you have ideas for us about communication strategies or feedback on the program itself, we'd love to hear from you. So let's go to our last slide. As I wrap up, I want to emphasize something that Roger's been saying in every presentation. Your input and your assistance in launching this program is essential for its success. We're so excited about this program, and I can't overstate how impactful we believe this will be in addressing a key affordability issue with deep connections to academic success and belonging. If you have questions or feedback, I encourage you to follow up with Roger, our expert, directly, and we've included his email address and phone number here. And so thank you so much. And so Allison, shall I hand it back to you?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Eric, for this presentation. This is really exciting to see all the progress that you're making around this. So we're now going to transition to questions and feedback. And as Eric mentioned, Roger Hailstork, director of the UC San Diego Bookstore, is joining us this morning, who'll be happy to answer any questions about the Triton One program. So we did receive some questions in advance. So we'll start with the first one, which is, how will faculty use the Triton One program when it launches? And that's a question for you, Roger.
Thank you so much, Allison. I appreciate it. And thank you, Eric, for that presentation. So faculty will use the Triton One program exactly like they've used adoptions in the past. Actually, the portal that's going to lead to Triton One is something that we used to use about 3 years ago prior to Follett arriving on campus. As those who were here remember, it was Verba Collect, collecting your adoptions to use it. So it will be the exact same form, exact same portal that we had a few years ago, and it will be similar to the Follett Discover. It will have all of your history in it, what you've used over the last few years for that class, and the only thing really new is that the assumption will be that it will be a digital first model. If digital is not something that you prefer and you would rather teach without using digital, then you would just simply state that.
Great, thank you. Let's see, I have another question here. Will the Triton One program change how you work with library reserves? And I wonder, that might be a question for you, Eric.
Yeah, thanks, Allison. So I think the answer to this is yes and no. Faculty should continue to use the Library Reserves program for materials that we hold, which you, of course, want us to put on reserve. And we will continue to offer physical and digital reserve for courses. I think an exciting opportunity that we're looking forward to is actually integrating course reserves more deeply into the Canvas bookshelf environment so that students don't have to look multiple places for their work. Additionally, and I already hinted at this in our presentation, I'm excited about the work the library and the bookstore will be able to do together under this program to make sure that the inclusion of library materials actually drives down the cost of this program over time. Our partner campus, UC Davis, has had incredible success in this program. And Roger, I don't know if you've got anything you'd like to add on that thread.
No, we do want to make sure that even if it is a library reserve or an OER material, anything that even if it's free, we just want to get that information because we want the bookstore to be the main repository so we can answer questions for students and also alert them on their bookshelf what needs to be acquired. Doesn't really matter how, but what needs to be acquired.
So we're getting some great questions. Thank you, Roger. We're getting some more questions in the Q&A. So the next one is for you, Roger. How will students who are waitlisted in the courses or approved to late add after the week 2 deadline get access to the Triton One program?
So we are still working through that. There are a few things that we are still working through. We're working through how we identify students who are either waitlisted or students who get their course materials, who will get their course materials late. Waitlisting, unfortunately, right now, we don't have a way to have them get their materials early or at the same time if they're being waitlisted. And a late add is simply and just an ad. So as soon as they join the class, they would be able to get their materials.
Great. Thank you so much.
Allison, if I could just add to that.
Sure, of course, please.
I'm sure that wasn't all that satisfying, but just with the current model, unfortunately, you know, we don't with the current model we don't have those. We have those restrictions. We have numbers. If we, for instance, if it's a book that we've only ordered a certain amount and they're waitlisted or they're an addition to that class, then we may not even have that material available by the time they join the class. So at least with this digital model, we should always have that material available no matter when they're added to class.
Great, thank you. We'll have time for one more question, and then I know that there are other questions that we will respond to you once the forum is over. So your question will be addressed. We just might not have time to get to it today. So the next question is, do graduate and professional students experience the same kind of challenges, and are they eligible for this program?
There. So actually, you know, some of the programs like Cornell does not do graduate students in this program. We're going to start out the first year with just undergraduate students. However, we found through our provider, VitalSource, that the way that our data goes over to them, graduate students are actually hard to exclude. So we are trying to include graduate students now. Currently, everybody that we sell academic resources to at the bookstore, we're trying to keep that same population involved. So that's kind of a new shift. We didn't start out with graduate students, but we're finding that we're going to be able to add them. Professional students were a little different. Like we do not currently use send books to SCAGs or to the School of Med.
Great, thank you. Okay, one last question. We've had some publishers let us know that an older book that only has one edition has no ebook version. Would that be something students could still get as a physical copy with a voucher or some other mechanism?
Absolutely. So we're planning for that. We're planning for a percentage of this program to be paper, what we call paper in the industry, hard books. So we are planning for it. Again, the default we're hoping is going to be digital. So most of them will be, but we know that there will be exceptions.
Great, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback and your questions. As I mentioned, we will have an opportunity to respond to those offline once the forum is over. But thank you. It's all very helpful to hear your perspectives and your feedback. So with that, I'll thank both Eric and Roger for being here today and sharing this incredible work. And we look forward to further engagement on this Triton One program. Our next presentation will be from Associate Vice Chancellor for Faculty Success and Engagement, Vic Ferreira, and Director of Engaged Teaching at the Teaching and Learning Commons, Kumiko Haas, who will talk about current efforts to support faculty development and faculty leadership. Vic and Kumiko?
Thank you, Allison. I'll start. My next slide, please. As Allison said, my name is Vic Ferrer. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Psychology and the Associate Vice Chancellor for Faculty Success and Engagement. And together with Director Mafalda Guetta, we lead the Center for Faculty Success and Engagement with our goal of providing the support that our faculty need to succeed and to thrive as they bring their entire selves to the work that they do here at UC San Diego. In front on the slide, you see email contacts for me and for Mafalda and the role account for our center. If anything comes up in this presentation or in anything at all that we talk about and suggest that a conversation with us would be useful, please do get in touch. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we do at the Center for Faculty Success and Engagement to help our faculty succeed include some of the things like that you see on the slide here. So over the course of the year, we will host a series of faculty workshop and events. Here are three that I lead myself: how to prepare a teaching portfolio for your file, demystifying tenure and promotion, life after tenure at UC San Diego. In fact, the life after tenure session is going to happen next week. So if you know any faculty who are approaching tenure or who just got tenure and want to know more about how to next steps that they will take in their career, have them look into that, because I think it's a pretty useful session. Another thing that we host that are extremely popular are our spring and summer writing retreats. The spring retreat happens each year during spring break. It's 2 days long. It's usually hosted on campus or near campus at a scenic location. The summer retreat is held at the end of the summer, usually in the first week of September or so. It's 3 days long, and we host that one off campus. For example, the last two have been at the Mission Beach Women's Center, which is this awesome facility down at Mission Beach, right on the beach. We provide snacks, we provide coffee, we provide breakfast, we provide lunch. Most importantly, we provide a strong community of fellow faculty who are there to help you with something that can often be a challenge for us, which is, making important progress on that writing project that we really need to make progress on. Finally, Mafalda and I are always available for individual consultations. So if something comes up with your file, with your colleagues, with life in your department, and you think it would be useful to have a conversation with me or with Mafalda or both, we are available for you for that. If we don't have an answer for you, we will be able to point you in a direction where we can help. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand the floor over to Mafalda to talk about NCFDD.
Hi, y'all. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about our partnership with NCFDD. So with that, we are an institutional member, meaning that we get access to a variety of programs, and you as individual faculty get access to a free NCFDD account. And I can talk a little bit in a little bit about how to activate that. But first and foremost, we want to talk about how our center actually offers sponsorship to some of the opportunities that you see here on the screen. One of our most popular ones is our faculty success program. I believe we've graduated over 200 faculty who've attended this. And every time I've spoken to a faculty member who's attended this FSP program, nothing but highlights and how helpful it was in getting their research practice established, consistently writing, getting access to a network of mentors. And each of these programs outlined here are considered virtual. Our faculty success program, post-tenure pathways, and department chair success programs typically run like a 10 to 12 week virtual cohort style program, and it kind of fits depending on where you are in your career. And so each of these, we are excited to provide a few spots a year that we can fully sponsor individuals, and folks can find out more information about that when those cycles come up through our newsletter. So next slide. But with NCFDD, we also have access to on-demand resources, programs, webinars, and it really is designed to help you all manage a life that is both as faculty but also as people. We want you to feel like you have all the tools that you need to be successful. And so every Monday they send out a really great weekly Monday motivator. And so they talk about this last week, they talked about, I think it was burnout, really great topics from week to week. They also offer on their website, they offer a plethora of webinars from different topics about tenure, about how to access mentors, about teaching, really whatever it is that you need, you can have access to all these things. They also partner with specific experts in the field and bring folks in to talk about their best practices or what worked well for them. They have a hidden handbook series. So really just a wealth of resources and information. Next slide. And I'll pause for a second here. You can activate your NCFDD account by clicking on this QR code photo. And if you have any questions, you can also follow up with us through our FSC email address and get access to we'll send you instructions on how to activate your NCFDD account there. But now I'll turn it back to Vic to talk about our next program.
Thank you. I'm particularly excited to talk about something that we have been doing in partnership with the Teaching and Learning Commons, which I'll hand the floor to them next to talk about some of their individual programs. Together we lead something called the New Faculty Academy for our newly arrived faculty on campus. It's a year-long cohort-based professional development program with the goal of equipping our new faculty with knowledge and strategies and a community to succeed at the new responsibilities that they now have as faculty. And a major goal is to create a community of colleagues across campus who the faculty will be able to rely on for the rest of their careers. Next slide, please. So this is the second year that we have run the Academy officially. This year we have 23 different faculty participants on 6 different schools across campus. We, of course, surveyed our previous year participants, the 2024-2025 cohort, who overwhelmingly rated our sessions as useful to their research, to their pedagogy and professional development, with the respondents planning to apply the strategies or tools or information learned in the sessions. And you see a couple of comments that we have from our participants in the original year. Next slide, please. Here are the programming that we have. On the left, you see the actual sessions for the first year participants in the New Faculty Academy. There's a welcome session at the beginning, a closing ceremony at the end, and then in between we have sessions on developing a network of mentors, on research development and funding, on establishing a writing practice, on launching successful research practices separately for STEM and for non-STEM faculty, for getting started with effective and equity-minded teaching, and finally strategies for tenure and promotion. Something we're doing new this year is for the original cohort, the 24-25 cohort, we are doing something we're calling New Faculty Academy 2.0, which is a couple of sessions for them on additional topics, as well as to bring them back together and to continue to build community with them. So that's a flavor of the New Faculty Academy. With that, I hand the floor to Kumiko to talk about the comments.
Thank you, Vic, and thank you for inviting us to the forum today. My name is Kumiko Haas. I'm the Director of Engaged Teaching, the part of the Teaching and Learning Commons that support faculty and all educators on campus. I do want to mention one quick thing about the New Faculty Academy. We really encourage all the deans and chairs to encourage their new faculty to attend our academy. If there's any way that you can include that in the letters that you provide to the faculty, that would be wonderful. As Vic mentioned, we have huge, great feedback from those who have attended. So we would really appreciate your support. So what do we do at the Commons? So I just wanted to start off with our guiding principles. We support and enhance student and faculty success through transformative evidence-based teaching and learning practices. I wanted to point out that we try our best to meet faculty where they are at. And this is both physically, but also where they are at in their teaching. So some faculty really just want to consult with us and use us as a sounding board to those who are really eager to work on things, and we want to be collaborative as possible. We have multiple avenues of support, and just like in the New Faculty Academy, we try to assist in building community wherever and whenever we can. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to use this slide to give a sense of what do we do. We directly partner with educators spanning all ranks and schools. We continue to cultivate relationships with departments and schools. And this is really important because we want to tailor our support to their specific needs, rather than coming in with a generic pedagogy approach. We really try to work with departments and schools to see what their faculty are needing and what would work with their discipline. So just to show what we do, we have teaching consultations, classroom observations, and early student feedback. And in 2024, we had more than 270 consultations or classrooms observations, early student feedback with 130 unique instructors. The frequent topics included course design, syllabus review, and grant support. We also offer teaching workshops and learning communities. We had over 1,700 registration, representing 780 unique participants. Some of these topics include holistic evaluation of teaching, teaching and learning with Gen AI. We did a learning community for that. We ran a series for teaching called Teaching with Care, and we have an assessment learning community. Next slide, please. So we have a joint slide. It's a little bit messy, but we thought this was a good way to for you to get our information as quickly as possible. These are for us, it's a listserv. You can use the QR code. One of the things that is really probably the easiest way to get a hold of us is to schedule a teaching consultation. And that is a URL here, which I believe everyone will have access to these slide decks. If not, you can just go to our website and at the Teaching and Learning Commons, Engage Teaching, and we'll be able to find that there. And this is a QR code for the newsletter for the faculty success and engagement. Thank you.
Great. Well, Mafalda, Kumiko, and Vic, thank you so much for your presentation. We will now take questions and comments from participants. I know that some folks have been adding some into the chat. So the first question I think is directed to you, Vic. How new do faculty need to be to join the new Faculty Academy?
Great question. Ideally, we cater the content to assistant rank faculty, so faculty who have not yet attained tenure, but we know will at some point soon. And so ideally, they're in that range. Our hope was to offer it relatively broadly to faculty in their first few years on campus, and we hope to catch up to all those faculty. And then once we have caught all faculty, we can focus in on faculty as they newly arrive. So if you know somebody who is an assistant rank faculty member, let them know about the program. We think it'd be very useful for them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So next question for Kumiko. What is meant by grant support in discussing engaged teaching work with faculty?
Thank you for that question. Over the years, we have had the capacity to support faculty in their grants. Over the years, it has changed due to funding, but generally speaking, faculty do come to us and include us in their grant as a partner to support them in their, especially in educational research. And but generally speaking, we try to support them in the best way we can with our capacity and what they need. So the best way would to really reach out to us in the consultations, and we'll try our best to support in whatever we can. And we have done a lot of collaborations where faculty have included us in grant as part of their grants as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Let's see, next question. Mafalda, what are some example topics or concerns that a faculty member could bring to the Center for Faculty Success and Engagement?
Yeah, just kind of like what Vic said earlier, it really can be about anything. If you're struggling with work-life balance, if you're struggling with personal dynamics in your department, if you want some support in teaching, we might refer you to Kumiko. But if you don't know where to start and you have a concern as it relates to your role as faculty members, like really that could be brought to either myself or Vic, because whether or not we have the answer will help you find the answer.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Next question. I think this would be for Kumiko again. Is a teaching consultation available for continuing educators or instructors at the Division of Extended Studies?
Yes, we have consultations for all educators. So if you can just sign up, reach out to us using the request form. Absolutely.
Excellent, thank you. And then one last question, and again, we will answer all of the questions and take in the feedback that you're putting into the Q&A. But one last question before we move to our next topic is it possible to have summer or early fall teaching support, such as a boot camp, for incoming faculty who are new to faculty life? Many of those will be teaching in the fall or winter. Early help is key. I guess that might be a question for maybe all of you.
Doug, great question. We've tried a couple of different approaches in terms of timing, in terms of the session on engaged teaching, and so we're still experimenting with what works. The idea of doing a boot camp, Kumiko, I don't think we've thought too much about it, but bring it to us, and we'll think of if there's a way to put something together that would be useful. I definitely hear you that, especially for faculty who start teaching in fall and in winter, it's great for them to hit the ground running with some support having already been provided.
Excellent. Well, Vic, Mafalda, and Kumiko, thank you so much for your work in this space and for giving us a lot of really great information to consider. And again, thanks to the participants as well for providing your feedback and great questions. Our next presenter is Tricia Bertram-Gallant, Director of the Academic Integrity Office and the Triton Testing Center. Today, Tricia will be sharing with us the future of assessment and testing centers across the UC. Tricia?
Thanks, Allison. Before we proceed into the slides I have here, I just want you to pause for a moment and think about yourself in a typical situation I think most of us find ourselves in as adults, which is at one point or another in our lives trying to get healthy. And say you're trying to get healthy, whether that's to lose weight or just become more fit or fix an underlying issue. And say you need to cut back sugar, but you have a sweet tooth. You don't proceed to fill your kitchen full of sugar, put donuts on your counter, and force yourself to stare at them and resist them, right? Typically, we clean our kitchen out of the sugar, and at least until we've changed our habits or changed our taste buds, and then we might be able to put it back in our kitchen and resist it. My point is, all of us need help living according to our values, reaching our goals in the ways we intend, and all of us are tempted to shortcut that, to go against our own goals in moments of stress, pressure, tiredness, or what have you. Okay, so that's us. Now picture yourself being a student today. Next slide. Current students are faced with inundation of being invited to outsource their assessments. The contract cheating industry existed way before the current Gen AI era has started, but both of them are saying, hey, you don't have to do this stuff yourself. Let us take your class for you. Let us do your assignments for you. Let us write your papers for you. And they can't get away from it. There's products being sold to embed into their Canvas pages to answer their questions for them. When they just try and do a Google search like they used to do for class, they would get an AI overview even though they didn't ask for it. When they go to use Grammarly, which is the next slide, which they've been using for middle school, they're now being told that Grammarly can predict their grade, that Grammarly can write their paper for them, that Grammarly can humanize their paper for them so they don't get falsely accused of using AI. And now Grammarly, in case you didn't know, is called Superhuman. And they're telling students that they can give them powers that they would never have without Grammarly. And we've seen over the last 3 years that students are targeted as the core consumers of these products. ChatGPT, OpenAI keeps giving away their product for free. Last year, around March, April, which is normally final exam time for semester schools, right? They said, hey, students, you can get free access to Pro. Then in September, Perplexity Comet said, hey, free access to anybody with an EDU address. So they are specifically targeted. If you look at their user records, their use goes way down in summer and way down during breaks because students are the customers. And just recently, actually, an internal memo from Google got leaked that they want their students to become their core consumers because then they become lifelong customers of their product, or in this case, the product, right? So we were all entangled in this. We were told students are using it anyways, and so we have to get with the program. Students are further told that everyone is doing it, so you better do it too, or you're not going to get a job. And they're told just to sit back and relax. I put some of these slides in here so you could play with them later. We're not going to watch this video today of me using Perplexity Comet to complete a quiz in Canvas. But the video will be there and you can look at it once these slides are sent out. And we can see on the next slide that students are using GenAI for coursework. Now, we don't know if they were allowed to use it, right? If they were using it appropriately, but they're using it. And the other thing they're using it for is companionship. And that is the rise in use by students, which is also should be concerning to us, but that's not the point of my talk. So the point of my talk is that students are overly tempted to offload their learning and assessments to machines, to other humans. Doesn't mean that's because all of our students are cheaters or anything like that. They're humans. Humans, like I said earlier, take shortcuts, especially when we're under stress and pressure. And there's just so much coming at them, so much advertising, so much rhetoric to say, just use these and offload. And students, frankly, are worried about it. They're worried about the hit on their critical thinking. They're worried that they're not learning, and yet they do it anyways. I was at another university, I won't name them, where a student was on a panel with me, and she said she had a friend that said, I'm addicted to ChatGPT. I use it for everything. I can't even decide what to wear in the morning without talking to ChatGPT. I use it for all my coursework. I use it for everything, my best friend. And that's the kind of thing we're dealing with right now. Students aren't the only ones struggling. Faculty are also struggling too. They are short-staffed given recent cuts over the last couple of years to TA support, department admin support, which assess their assessment and pedagogical decisions. They continue to use mostly unsupervised assessments because they don't have to proctor them, they don't have to watch them, and so it takes less time on their part. They're using more high-stakes assessments because they happen less often. So 2 midterms and a final that's maybe done in Canvas on a computer by the students at home takes less time to grade, takes less time to administer. And of course, from the student's point of view, the faculty and TAs aren't able to offer as much tutoring in office hours, which is why the students turn to ChatGPT. So what is the solution? I really like the 2-lane assessment approach coming out of Australia. University of Sydney has been particularly vocal about this, but it really is a thing that many of us are talking about. And really what the 2-lane assessment says is there's open assessments that are unsupervised and there's secure assessments. On those unsupervised open assessments, they should be for learning, not of learning. And we should not try and ban GenAI use on them. So research papers, essays, anything done that's not supervised, it's not closely observed, should be considered open. We can still tell students how we think they should try and learn the material and complete the assignments, how they could use AI that would amplify the learning rather than undermine learning, but know that they might not follow those guidelines. And maybe we don't treat them like a cheating issue, but as a failure to learn issue. But we also have students disclose their use. And this is partly to talk to the professor about how they're using it, but also to increase their metacognition. They're thinking about their thinking so that they become more conscious of when they're appropriately offloading to AI and when they are inappropriately offloading to AI and not getting the learning that they are here to do. Then on the other side, we have secure assessments. Those are the assessments of learning to ensure that our students are mastering the learning outcomes that we have set out, either at the course level, the program level, or the university level. Secure assessments mean we know it's the student who's completing the assessment, and we know what aids they are using them. So that could look like flipped classrooms where students are doing the majority of the assignments in the class and they're watching the lectures outside of class. It could mean like teacher training programs where it's a teacher out in the field who is closely observing the student, or in our medical school, right? We've always had our medical students closely observed. Could be presentations with Q&As, demonstrations, or it could happen in our computer-based assessment center. In our CBTF, which is part of the Triton Testing Center, we do multiple things. We do accommodated and makeup testing. last academic year, AY 24-25, I don't even know what year it is anymore, we did almost 12,000 tests. In our computer-based testing facility, predicted this quarter, we're predicted to issue or administer 28,000 assessments in 75 seats. We have 2 locations in Pepper Canyon Hall and in APNM, and a lot of student staff support. We have a comprehensive testing center. We are the only UC with a comprehensive testing center that has both computer-based testing, accommodated makeup testing. What we're trying to do now is establish a California Assessment Center Consortium. And this is a proposal to enhance access, equity, and integrity throughout for all of our California public students. An assessment center consortium would be a network of professionals like those in RTTC who would run these computer-based assessment centers to enable access for all California-based students. So if I'm a UCSD student taking a UCSD course, but I'm living in the Bay Area for the summer, I could go to Berkeley to take my assessment in person. There are so many benefits to this. Student benefits include consistent and predictable testing procedures. This is so great for students with an assessment anxiety. Doesn't matter what class they're taking, they know exactly what our procedures are, what the testing experience is going to be like. It really reduces their anxiety. It enhances their agency because they can book when they want to take the test at 8 a.m. or at 6 p.m., the day of the week they can choose. Computer-based assessments on our platform encourages mastery-based testing, which reduces equity gaps and ups learning. And again, it reduces their temptations, opportunities to act against their own values because we've taken their phone, they've put their phone away, they've put all these things away. It also benefits faculty, frees them up to do things that aren't administering tests, spending more time with students, spending more time teaching, coaching, mentoring, doing research with their students, allows them to do more frequent mastery-based low-stakes assessment because it's not taking up time in their class, and keeps all the benefits of computer-based testing that otherwise lead to offloading temptations too easily when they're used elsewhere. And finally, the benefits to the UC. It enhances our degree integrity. We have a responsibility to validate student learning, and we need to do that differently now than we did in 1985, for example. It simplifies test scheduling, it aligns with our mission and goals, and it gives us efficiencies at scale and will allow us to increase online summer offerings because faculty who have resisted offering remote classes because of concern about academic integrity will be more likely to teach online if they know that students can test in person. And so I'd just like to end by thanking the TTC staff. I've listed them here with their photos. Many of you know their names, but that's what they look like. And also thank you to the members of our informal assessment planning center planning work group and our current task force that I'm chairing on behalf of the Office of the President. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tricia. We have a couple of questions. How do we ensure the security of assessments that are not formal exams?
Yeah, so it depends. Like I said, if you flipped classrooms, if you think about what value added we bring to an AI-enabled world as a physical campus, it's human-to-human learning experiences. So helping students connect with each other, doing the assessments in class. When I taught in Rady, it was with the team-based learning method. All of their assessments were done in class. They were closely observed by me, by their peers. And so it would have been really difficult to cheat through that. So that's one way. Any kind of our engineering faculty have run projects on oral assessments. That's also a good way. So it doesn't always have to be an exam. Having a student write the essay, but then you talk to them afterwards about it and you focus more on talking to them about their paper rather than reading their paper. Another professor at a different school used Lockdown Browser in the classroom and had students stage their essay writing in class because he didn't want to give up that long time, that time that it takes to write a good essay. And he didn't want to give up the essay, so he tried that. So there's so many different opportunities to do it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, next question. Is the Triton Testing Center available for large courses? For example, we have one course with 1,500 students per quarter. Could the center accommodate that?
Yeah, because we don't accommodate everybody at once. So it just, we have some classes that are 1,200 students, 600. We have classes that have 50 students. So we just take in all the requests and we create a schedule and we fit everybody in that we can. So it kind of doesn't matter how big your class is because everybody would be taking their test asynchronously.
Great. We have several questions that are coming through the Q&A. So can you talk about where we are at with the development of a statewide testing system?
Well, our task force would just got charged this year in fall. So we've only had, I think, 3 meetings. But we are trying to quickly, I have 2 meetings, one today, one tomorrow, to quickly set up a pilot for summer, at least within the UC system. We're quite a ways off, I would say, from having one that includes the community college sister system and the Cal State sister system, but there is tremendous amount of interest across the state. So we're very optimistic, but look for news about a potential pilot at least this summer.
I'll just add that I've been talking with folks at the community college district locally who seem extremely interested in joining this partnership as it develops.
Great.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing more about that. Another question, would professional schools be eligible for this program?
Like our medical school and pharmacy school? Not currently. We talked to the medical school early on when we started the TTC, and they do things quite differently over there. And we're not currently resourced to assist them, but it's not off the table from my point of view, but it's different and I think it's complicated and it would need to be explored.
Great, thank you. And again, keep asking your questions. We'll be sure to get to them even if we're not able to get to them in this session. So let's see, we have Stefan Llewellyn-Smith. You may have already had conversations about possible limitations of CBTF for upper division classes with complex questions. Can you remind us what the platform does? Is it always multiple choice or auto-graded? Are there tutorials online or in person for interested faculty?
Yeah, if you go to prairilearn.com, that is the best way to see everything that they do and what you can do with it. Also, there is a Slack channel for those of you that are into Slack, a very active forum. So no, it's not just for auto grading. It's not just for multiple choice questions. It certainly is ideal for, I would say, lower division. I mean, lower division courses. And we are working on some things like for chemistry, for example, you need to be able to draw sometimes. And so they have an integration. If we get cameras for all of our computers, then we can host those exams as well because students would draw on the camera, and PrairiLearn has it set up where they would just hold it up in front of the camera and it would put it in PrairiLearn for them. So they're constantly working on things. If we get the whole University of California using the system, you can imagine the leverage we might have to develop their wish list or develop our wish list for them to add to it. But yeah, contact us if you're interested at all in would this work for my class. We've got AWP in there, we've got social sciences, we've got STEM. So we've got courses across the board.
Great. Excellent. So we have time for one last question before we move to our next session. Looking forward, would this network want to expand to include paper-based testing appointments as well?
Oh, we will. Yep. The network is looking at offering paper-based, Canvas-based, or PrairiLearn tests. Paper-based is easy. Kind of. Scheduling's difficult, getting the exams. Yeah, there are some complications, but in terms of administering it, it's easy. The trick with PrairiLearn and Canvas is hard to do in the same lab. So that's the kinds of things we're starting to work out this week. But definitely we are for online courses in order for people to test in person. We are looking at, yes, paper-based exams would be included.
Excellent. Well, Tricia, thank you so much for sharing all this great information and food for thought on ensuring assessment is accurately reflecting the academic rigor of our courses. We really appreciate you being here today. And I know that there may be some follow-up questions from the Q&A. that we will be sure to provide answers to.
There's one last thing. Tricia, the Rady School and GPS do already use your services, don't they?
I mean, yes. I was
It's
just
just
talking
that
about the
they're
med school
professional.
and pharmacy. So any undergrad or grad, yeah, but not the med school or pharmacy.
Thank you. Thanks for the clarification. Okay, so our final presentation today will be on supporting students who are experiencing academic difficulty and our efforts to help them return to good standing. Joining us are Maricela Alvarado, Director of Online Student Experience and co-chair of the Mentoring, Coaching, and Advising Collective Impact Working Group, and Melissa Ellieu, Dean of Academic Advising for Eleanor Roosevelt College. And let's see, I will hand it over to Maricela and Melissa.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Sanders. I appreciate being invited to the space to provide an update. As Dr. Sanders mentioned, my name is Maricela Alvarado, and I serve as a co-chair along with Katie Michael on the Mentoring, Coaching, and Advising Working Group. And within the working group, we have identified several key challenges that we have been spending our time and attention on, strategizing and thinking about best practices for us to implement, ensuring that the right people are in the conversation. So one of the topics that had continued to come up in our conversation was academic difficulties. Very quickly, we realized that it needed more time and attention and ensuring that this conversation was taking, the time that it really needed for us to be able to tackle these challenges. So what we've done within the current mentoring, coaching, and advising group is that we created a subgroup and invited academic counselors and other individuals that their scope of work and knowledge is around academic difficulties. And so currently Melissa have been really chairing and leading that effort with a few campus partners. And so I'm going to turn it over to her for her to provide an overview of the current status of the work.
Thanks so much, Maricela. We can go back just one slide. We'll leave it on the group objectives. Thanks. So yes, my name is Melissa Ellieu. I serve as Dean of Academic Advising for Eleanor Roosevelt College. I use pronouns she, her, hers. Happy to be here this morning and provide a brief update on the work that this smaller group is doing. So in the next few slides, I plan to briefly ground us in how we are defining academic difficulty and then show how that's informed our work and where we're headed next. So with that in mind, here on the screen is the focus of the group and the projects that we have within this group. For context, the group formed in fall 25 and includes members from all 8 colleges, academic departments, and other campus areas that support students in academic difficulty. We have representation from many units across campus, including student retention and success. Group, the individuals that make up the group, we all worked together in collaboration and communicated regarding student support. But when we began meeting in the fall, we had this objective here with the goal of further coordinating our support of the students experiencing academic difficulty. Go to the next slide. So before I go further, it's important to define what we mean in this context by academic difficulty. We know that students may face academic challenges, but not fall into this definition of academic difficulty. This group and the projects we work on are focused on students with the academic statuses of academic notice or subject to disqualification. Academic notice is for students who end the quarter with less than a 2.0 term or cumulative GPA, and then subject to disqualification is either third consecutive quarter of academic notice and cumulative GPA below 2.0, or term GPA less than 1.5, regardless of cumulative GPA. Go to the next slide. So these factors listed here are not likely new information to you, but many factors contribute to our students' academic performance and can impact their GPA and then thus their academic status. And also many times these factors fall outside of the classroom. And so UCSD does a great job of providing support in a number of ways, and that is reflected in the composition of our work group and the areas that are represented. So keeping that in mind, here's more specifically the different areas of support for students and the folks that are on the group with us. Support is provided in a number of ways. The colleges monitor academic progress and provide interventions in various ways. For example, online academic difficulty workshops for students run through Canvas for many colleges, in addition to one-on-one meetings. Some academic departments also provide interventions. We understand this is usually dependent on size and capacity of departments. And then a number of student support programs and areas also provide interventions. So the goal in this group has been to coordinate all of this so that students have a more cohesive experience in receiving support when they experience academic difficulty. In terms of project updates, earlier this year, or this academic year, the 8 colleges began coordinating interventions through a pilot program for students returning after academic disqualification. This was organized by the College Assistant Deans of Academic Advising. They created a pilot program using a small cohort of students and aligning the interventions and practices used to support these returning students. That group is currently reviewing data from Fall 25 outcomes, like read rates of messages sent out, GPAs, and then a full review of the pilot will occur at the end of this academic year, including a post-assessment survey. We also have a couple quarterly updates from the work group, or the smaller group within the larger work group. So during the fall quarter, we documented all current interventions that I mentioned in general a few slides ago and determined that a short-term solution while we are all providing various interventions would be to utilize the Virtual Advising Center to document support for students facing academic difficulty or experiencing academic difficulty. This gives us the opportunity to better coordinate support. For example, if college advisors see that a student is meeting with their success coach, they have a fuller picture of the support the student's receiving and can adjust or appropriately provide support from the college advisor's perspective. During the winter quarter, we are focusing on a Canvas class template. I mentioned that some colleges provide academic difficulty workshops run through Canvas. These are set up as online workshops for students to complete on their own timeline. The purpose of the class or workshop is to validate the student's sense of belonging despite setbacks, provide opportunity for self-reflection, and connect students to resources designed to help them return to good standing. And so during the winter quarter, we have a few group members working on a template for a Canvas class that could be used for all the colleges and be more comprehensive in terms of including additional campus connections for support. All of that brings us to where we're headed next. So we are looking forward to the outcomes from the Return After Academic Disqualification pilot program at the end of this academic year. We're looking forward to seeing how this Canvas class template can be used to provide a more cohesive experience for our students. And then finally, we are also working with institutional research and looking forward to reviewing data that may identify trends or meaningful data points that we can use to focus our efforts. And so that will likely inform any additional next steps from our group. And that is the update.
Great, thank you so much for your presentation and for your work, this work in this area, obviously very important as we continue to find ways to better support our students. So we do have a few questions that have come through. One is, when students are academically disqualified, when can they return and what are the requirements?
Sure. So the majority of academic disqualifications occur at the end of spring quarter. Students who are disqualified at the end of spring are eligible to return the following fall, so they're away for one full academic year. They go through an online application process where they submit a proposal for their planned classes, they meet with their major advisor, and then the requirements for them to continue beyond fall is a 2.0 GPA in that fall quarter. So the group of students that our assistant dean's pilot program is those students who've returned after academic disqualification, and need that 2.0 GPA in the fall in order to continue.
Great, thank you. So this next question is focused on graduate students and staff supporting graduate students. Are you aware of similar resources or work groups that might support graduate students and staff supporting graduate students who are facing academic difficulty?
I am sure that is, but the scope of this is undergrad, so that would be outside of what we're working on.
Right.
Yeah. And Dr. Sanders, I would certainly be able to reach out to our GEPA partners as there are systems in place to focus on graduate students. I'm happy to, follow up with the person who is asking that question.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks, Maricela. Next question, does the Academic Difficulties Work Group use any current term tools within the Canvas environment or other learning management system to flag academic difficulty when it is happening, or are we working sort of after the fact?
Oh, like kind of mid-quarter reporting on students? No, so I know that the colleges each have our course sequence, our writing program. So a lot of work within there can happen. Like we'll get like the early alerts if our faculty are concerned about a student. But it doesn't work that way where we have kind of access to mid-quarter grades within Canvas that then it's happening after term GPAs are available.
Great. Let's see. Next question. How many students typically end the quarter with academic notice or subject to disqualification? And and maybe anecdotally, what are the primary causes or reasons?
Yeah. I looked in for fall quarter. We as UCSD undergrads had about 800 students with the academic notice status, and about 1,000 students with the subject to disqualification status, so about 5% of our undergrads for fall. It varies quarter to quarter, year to year, college to college, major to major, and that's the data that we are working with IR on to get just kind of more longitudinal, like seeing any patterns, things like that. Anecdotally, also, the reason I think depends quarter to quarter. We see a lot of students in their first quarter, like kind of a transition, like a bump that then they'll return to good standing. For like ongoing or persistent academic challenges, it's usually some of these other factors that I mentioned earlier, that I had on a slide earlier: financial, basic needs, mental health, well-being, relationships, and then of course transition. And then academic sometime as well. But it's almost always a combination of those that we see for students where there's multiple quarters that they continue to experience challenges.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. It's very impactful in supporting our students. I will note that we will post the slides and the video online, and we will address the questions that were brought up in the Q&A. So look forward to seeing that posted shortly. So thanks again, Melissa and Maricela, for your great presentation. And thank you to all of our presenters for sharing your really impactful work. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Before we close out this Future of Academic Affairs Forum, I wanted to reintroduce EVC Simmons, who will provide some closing remarks.
Thanks very much, Allison. And thanks again to all our presenters. And thanks to everybody who shared ideas or asked questions. It's really only through your engagement that all of this work becomes possible. And I hope that if questions or ideas occur to you after this session is over, please send them. You can send them directly to my office. Most people know they can reach me, evc@ucsd.edu. And we welcome all of your thoughts and ideas about how we can do better in this work and how we can take on new challenges. Some of you, for example, asked about ways to extend existing work to other categories of students, like graduate students, or to different times of year, like summer. And those are things we're happy to follow up on because they're really great ideas. And also the boot camp idea that was asked about. So thank you for all that you do to make UC San Diego a wonderful university and make it a better place year by year. It's a pleasure working with all of you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.